Hi guys, Fishka here with another video for today. Today we've got Chris. Chris is playing Melodious. What's your current record with the deck over the last couple of locals and shit?
12-1-1.
12-1-1?
So I'm playing 40 cards because there's like 9 1-card starters. Decks can be fairly inconsistent because the amount of non-engine you play.
This is the most relevant pendulum deck in the format, right?
Yeah. I think it's the only relevant pendulum deck.
All the Triff viewers going to be watching that.
Yeah. Sorry, super heavy. Can actually play good spells. So the best card in the deck is Ostinato. It's just better brand infusion because it doesn't lock you out of anything.
It's also not at 1.
Yeah, it's not a 1, and it's not once per turn. So as long as I don't have control of monster, I can activate it. So if you ash it, I can just activate another one.
Yo, I did not know that was not once per turn.
Yeah,
I'm learning
really
things.
Good card. You can, if you're really greedy, which you shouldn't be in this format because Nib is walking around.
That's not.
It's you can clear your own board with S-Well, and then you can activate a second one to get an additional instruction.
Oh, that's cool.
And then we've got 3 first movement solo, E-Telly, kind of mid E-Telly, although it does produce a 1-card combo. Sad can only get 2 QCR.
How much are the QCRs? Are they like pennies or are they money? They're pennies.
Yeah, they came out in the tins, and they were £3 pre-release.
It's one of those.
Just nothing, yeah. And then the only other spell for the engine we're playing is 2 Concerto. You'll see why we're playing 2 later with the Desires. It's just good to ensure that you've got 1 at the bottom of the deck, and so if you Desires, then when you banish 10s, make sure you've always got 1. Monster ratios, Stratos, it's a good card. Adds Poplar, which we've seen Seikar, it's really good. Poplar at 3, which also adds you a fusion spell, so that card's not actually that bad to open either. Cartesia, that's not once per turn, has to use itself. Pretty good card and adds from grave as well. So Ostinato, send both of these, make Baka, summon this, add this summons this back, it's full combat.
So you've got Brand Infusion, E-Telly, Stratos, Poplar, Cartesia.
Yeah.
Right.
And then we've got 3 sprite cards, so these just summon themselves from hand if you control a Melodious monster. This is not once per turn, so you can special it from hand as many times as possible. This is once, but it's level 4, so it's good for a rank 4 play in the deck.
Does anything fusion lock you, or not?
So the only card that locks me here currently is first movement solo, so I can only summon Melodious monsters the turn I activate.
Okay.
Otherwise, no, nothing fusion locks. This, when special summoned, gives all my fairy monsters 500 attack and defense.
Yep.
And this, if special, soft once per turn, I can target a monster I control, change spell position.
Nice.
It's come up like once or twice. We try and go for game. A lot of stuff in your deck summons in defense, like Couplet. So sometimes you just need to switch one to attack to just get that last bit of damage in. This is Chapina. It's a brick, but it's a soft once per turn to add from grave to hand. So you can usually recycle 2 or 3 in a turn, and it adds any light fairy. So it doesn't just add engine. You can add hand traps back if you like.
Yep.
The last piece of engine is Aria.
I hate this card.
So it's an end board piece that if special summoned you can't target Melodious monsters I control and they cannot be destroyed by battle. So it makes your board really sticky. So even if you're not dying that turn, you usually got enough follow up to come back. Summoning this or first movement solo is a really good start because it stops you from being impaired and invaded through your turn. And I played against a Rescue Ace player a while back. And he made full board 5 spell traps, 4 monsters. Activated first movement solo, summoned Aria. None of his interruption did anything. His 10 interruptions I just played for his board.
That's quite nice.
So that is all of the Melodious engine. So I believe it's 19 or 20 cards. So just the issue that it can make it fairly consistent. The one loss I had today, game 1, I opened 4 hand traps plus Couplet, so my board didn't do anything. But because of that, you can play a lot of non-engine. So you play 2 Desires, like I said earlier, to help with the Concerto, and I just like Call By and Talents. I just think they're really strong cards when your opponent's trying to interrupt you through your turn. As strong as Talents is, it feels weird to play at 3, so always substitute it with Call By, and they work really well together as well. I don't believe in playing cross out. In this deck, really, you can play through hand traps fairly well, and just cross out's just 3 slots in your deck that you just could do.
If they don't have anything relevant, then it doesn't matter.
Yeah, exactly. I just feel like it's a wasteful slot. And you don't tend to lose to things like cross out as well because you play hand traps that a lot of people don't play. So orange light's a really big one. Orange light, you play 14 fairies in the engine, so it fits in pretty well. It rarely breaks, only once or twice. It's also recyclable off Chapina, so if you orange light them on your turn while you're trying to play, or if you orange light them on turn 1, then you can just recycle it again, and just keep using orange lights. 2 Veiler. Veiler's self-explanatory card, really. Same with 3 Ash. 3 Imperm, 3 Dominus Purge. You play mostly fairies. The only card in your main deck that Dominus Purge doesn't interact well with is Ash, but if you open up both, just Ash them first.
Yeah.
Dominus got really nice second effects, but if you have a trap in grave, it negates and destroys.
Yeah.
So Imperm Dominus is really strong 2 cards, 2-card hand trap. So it's just a slew of hand traps and just a few cards that can help you play a little bit more on your turn. And with Desires is a really strong card. It's difficult when you have bricks. You don't really want Desires because you can lose a lot of pieces. But if you build 4 boards, you've got all the 1-ups of your deck. So you just Desires, banish 10. You usually draw 2 hand traps because most of your names are out of deck already.
Yeah.
And then for the extra deck, you play 3 backer. Believe it or not, the third one actually comes up quite a lot. So it does, because if they out your boss monster, you can usually summon one of these for an extra deck and just create a massive board, and then summon your boss monster back with this. And sometimes turn 1, really awkward hands force you to go through 2, and you can end on it as an end board piece just to make your board even more sticky, because it has the effect that while I control this face-up card, my opponent cannot negate activated effects of Melodious Fusion monsters cannot be negated. It's come up a few times. I've played against Ryo a few times, and I asked me to discard. I don't discard, and it still resolves.
Every time we play, I have a Raiho, he summons this, he goes effect, I go cool, it resolves, and he starts going for his deck or his graveyard, and it's like, oh, you have to discard, and Chris like, nope, read the first line.
Yeah, and it's a really nice 4th end board piece. So your usual end board is an Aria, a Schuberta, and an Etwell, but if you can go harder, this is a good end board piece. When I played this deck at Nats, my opponent didn't read this card, and they drop it in my other 2 fusions, and they just negged themselves for no reason at all. Playing 2 Schuberta, so it's triple DD Cryo on big legs. It can also activate and damage set, so it's quite an interesting card.
Fun against Tenpai.
Yeah, fun against Tenpai. So it's a quick effect to target up to 3 players in either player's grave, so it can stop Bystials in the late game as well. And then banishes them, and it gains 200 attack per, and its effect is only activatable once while it's face up on the field, which meant when Melodious first came out, it was a fine card, but with the new support, it just makes it be able to be used at least once per turn. And then you got the boss monster of the deck. It's Etwell. It makes SP look like a shit card. So you basically just activate the effect, and then on resolution you banish Melodious monsters you control to the end phase, and then you can bounce face-up cards your opponent controls up to the number that you banished. Because this is once while it's face up on the field, you banish, you bring them back, and you can banish again. So there is the potential to banish six per turn with 1 copy.
Which can't be negated because of that.
Which can't be negated if you've got this. And the RO main means that you can't just confirm these or beat over them. This has also got the a very similar floating effect to Mirage. So if this card leaves the field because of my opponent's effect, I can special summon one from Melodious sponsor from deck or extra deck. This is usually backer, and it just fills my board and it just recurs me. There's instances against Tenpai where I summon this, so this can't be destroyed by battle or card effect, and if it battles a special summons monster, my opponent takes the damage equal to the difference in their attack points. And then it pops the card. So it's you summon it, the Tenpai throws 3 ball breakers against you, you summon this, and then they can't out it.
Nice.
Blue Prima, not everyone's playing it, but I like it to go to OTK. It surprises a lot of people because it looks like a really unassuming 900 attack monster, but it gains 300 attack per material that you use, and you can use quite a lot in some turns. And it can attack twice in a battle phase. So usually it can OTK quite comfortably on its own. It just comes out of nowhere.
Nice.
Bloom Harmonist is the one Melodious monster that we do have. As good of a card as it is, it's actually a shit monster. So if you've gone through this, your hand is quite bad, even though its effect is really good. So you discard a card, and then you special summon 2 Melodious monsters in defensive position to the zones it points to.
From deck,
from deck.
From deck,
But it makes your boards really vulnerable. Makes you lose to Nib. It loses to Imperm. It loses to Veiler. It's a really scary choke point in the deck. But in normal combo, if I've opened Ostinato or if I've not opened terribly, I don't have to go through this. It does have a nice effect that. If I attack with a Melodious monster that points to this card, my opponent can't activate any effects into the end of the damage deck. So these two in conjunction can be really strong where my opponent can't provide any response. And then we've got the tech cards. SP Little Knight speaks for itself.
Gotta have it.
Moon is just a link to Pank. It outs things like Skill Drain. So it tributes a fairy monster for cost and targets one card your opponent controls and pops it. The other effects with Sank is irrelevant because we don't use it. Then we play the White Women Jump Scare pair. I've probably summoned this once. These are really flexible spots. Most of the time I've played against a few voiceless players who play the Neo package. I've sent these two more times with Maximus than I have summoned them. And the last card is Yugioh, because sometimes when you get interacted with just a bit too much and you have 2 4s, if you've not got through one of the locks, then you just slam a big Yugioh on board and pray.
Deal with it.
Which deals with a few decks. But in this format, it's not as good because there's a lot of those decks running around. And then lastly, we've got the side deck. So we've got 3 Molchummy Berulia, incredible card. Even if it trains 1 for 1, it digs me deeper in my deck. I played against a Salad player the other week, and I drew 3, and every draw was a hand trap. It was crazy. 2 Veiler, 2 Crow. I had 4 slots left in my side, and I thought these are really good and versatile. I think they hit Bell, I think they hit Snake Eye, and they do accidentally hit a lot of rogue decks as well. And they're really flexible. I played an event here last week where every time I went second, I literally sided with these 7 cards, and in every matchup, they were incredible. Then the last monster on the side is Tam Tam. So Tam Tam is there to search polymerization when I need to go first. So it does allow me to extend. It's an extra name. It is an extra fairy for orange light.
And that's all it does, right?
All it does is search poly. Yeah.
Wink.
Yeah. Then we play 3 Cosmic Cyclone. Because Cosmic is really good this format. I was playing 2 Cosmic and a Harpies, but the things that Harpy wants to hit, they summon a Hugon and then it doesn't hit what it wants to hit. So these trade really well with the floodgates, so sometimes you just want to side these in going second if you fear a TC Boo. This deck folds to TC Boo, so if you think they can play it, then it should come in. Anti-Spell is not too much of an issue. I have played through it. I set up scales under anti-spell once because they just scale themselves from extra deck, so they're really good. Dark Ruler No More is a really similar theory to Pearly. I break your board with X12 and I set out my board, and it's just really difficult to break with your limited resources. Playing under Schubert is basically like playing under Shifter, so you don't have a lot of comeback if I Dark Ruler you. And then the last card is Rivalry. Every single monster that I summon is a fairy, so there's no reason not to put it in the side. If I'm playing against a deck that leads us to Rivalry, then we just hide it in.
How do you feel this will do in the overall format? Like, obviously you're going to Lille. Do you reckon one Melodious player will make the top cut? How do you reckon?
I think it should. I think it's really well positioned in the format at the moment. So just because of the interaction it can put up, the deck looks really unassuming, the board looks really unassuming, but it does a lot more than it looks, and its follow-up is incredible. So I think it's well positioned. It does fight against Rebel quite a lot, and it can play a lot of non-engine space, which allows for it to shine in the format. It did fall off when Info first came out because other decks got stronger, and it didn't because it couldn't use Fiendsmith. but with the Fiendsmith hits making it a little bit weaker and the hits to Snake Eye, it can fight back a little bit. So hopefully we see it come out.
Nice. Well, guys, that was Chris's Melodious deck profile. Any questions you've got, pop them down below. Otherwise, goodbye.